And welcome everyone to Biz Talk here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong in Beijing. The Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games are hailed as the biggest event ever organized in France. The mega sporting event will see billions of people tuning in worldwide as some 10,500 of the world's best athletes in an estimated 15 million plus people gather in Paris for 19 days of competition and to soak in the Olympic spirit. But what about the economic perspective of the Olympics? What does the Olympics mean for boosting a city's economy? And can the Games break its perception of being too expensive for host cities? To talk more about this, we're joined by Olympic Games Executive Director Christophe Dubi. Christophe, welcome.
Well, thank you, Michael, for having me, and thank you for the introduction.
Great to have you on the program again, Christophe. Let me start with the big picture. How does the International Olympic Committee itself view the role of the Games in terms of providing that economic boost, growth and development for a host city?
Let's get to the organizing committee and its budget. From the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games to the closing ceremony of the Paralympics, these are roughly 4.39 billion here in the context of Paris. And this is financed by the IOC resources that we generate through sponsorship and through the sales of rights, TV rights and others, media rights. And then the organizers themselves having ticketing, hospitality, and also their own marketing program. So all this is balanced with private resources, although in the context of France, there is a subsidy from the state for the Paralympic Games. And we all believe that this is a truly worthwhile contribution. So they are balanced at 3.98. And then they were, in the context of France here, a number of investments in community buildings, such as the Olympic villages for the media and for the athletes, and 2 venues. And this is all in all, plus beautification of Paris, which looks absolutely stunning, another 4 billion. So the equation is 4.39 for Paris Games, and then another 4 for the investments.
Well, Christophe, certain economists have pointed out that the Olympics so far, no Olympics, I should say, have either come on budget or under budget. And that is quite interesting, I would say. What is the IOC doing to ensure that when the Games are hosted and leading up to it, that this doesn't place too much of a burden, a financial strain on cities for the long term?
Yeah, I'll start with a comment on the first statement. Yes, it is true, and you have a number of these studies which come from the same university. I will not name it, but it's not been peer reviewed for a very good reason. It cannot be. Some have tried to replicate the numbers and they do not match. We prefer to mention those studies from La Sorbonne in particular, which has done over time, and Mainz University as well, which have done some really detailed calculation that indeed show that sometimes the costs grow, but so do the revenues. So in the end, when you have a balanced equation, especially for the OCOG budget, it truly means that it is balanced and it is true additional economic impact. And we really like these numbers. Now to the second question. For us, what really mattered 10 years ago when the Games lost their appeal to a future host, it was for a given reason. Too many unnecessary developments were perceived to be needed, and the brief was too sophisticated. So in 2014, 10 years ago, we came with this very simple explanation that the Games must adapt to a city and a region and not the reverse. And as a result, we see Games in Beijing in 2022 that spans from Yangqing to Zhangjiakou, which is further away, but it works. It works because this is what was needed for Beijing and the region at that point in time. So that flexibility is very appealing. We even say that if you don't have the infrastructure in your city or a region, why not look abroad? We're okay with this. And as a result, once you have this flexibility, you can also better manage the cost side of the equation, while we have to remain appealing on the revenue side, because in the end, you also have to sell the property, right? So it's both. One, being able to control the cost, and also to maximize the revenue. And what we see now for 2038 and after that for Winter Games 2036, and after that for the Summer Games, we have a very long list of interested parties, very long list.
So when I think about potentially the revenue side, Christophe, correct me if I'm wrong, the three things that come to my mind first, tourism, for example, the employment opportunities generated, the infrastructure that we mentioned. Can cities, for example, turn these perhaps shorter term economic impacts into longer lasting economic impacts? Can we get creative here?
I think that Paris is showing the way in this respect. They have invested a lot in Seine-Saint-Denis, which is a region that is disfranchised. Out of the Greater Paris, this is a region that is a bit more complicated. But it is anticipated that more than 100,000 jobs have been created, and these are legacy jobs, which is a formidable positive impact, not only economically but socially as well. Because again, these are jobs going in those disfranchised communities. So this is a long-term positive impact. Can you change the whole dynamic of the economics of France? No, but with targeted investment and in the right jobs, yes, you have a profound impact, and it's a legacy impact.
Here on Biz Talk, we connect the dots, shedding light on the real stories behind the economic landscape. To better understand China's dynamism and the economies and rhythms of business, propelling new drivers of growth.
China.
Biz Talk, your window into China and the global economy. Only on Biz Talk.
I want to get your perspective on sustainability, Christophe, because like I was mentioning, we've got about maybe 15 million plus people going to the Greater Paris region for this game. So that's a massive carbon footprint. Beijing 2022, the Winter Olympics, for example, this city reused a lot of its previous infrastructure. We had a lot of renewable energy power plants really supporting the venue sites. Paris, I believe, wants to have its carbon footprint compared to, let's say, London in 2012 and Rio in 2016. So how's the IOC thinking about the sustainability challenge when it engages with cities in hosting the games?
Applaud the numbers from Paris, about half of previous games in terms of emission, and that's linked to no build or very limited build, and thinking emissions and sustainability from the very beginning. It's quite an endeavor, but it was very ingrained into Paris. They looked into everything. And in the end, from the type of vehicles to moving a lot of transportation to public transportation here in Paris, ideal, won't be the same conditions in LA, to food, and you've seen some comments in the village, everything was designed around being as sustainable as possible, including the type of material for look of the games and everything. Now, 15 million people, you're right, 15 million people here in Paris, that's a massive amount. Once you have reduced, there is a limit to it. The normal mechanism, and this is what Paris is doing and is doing well, is compensation. So they have selected a number of projects in France and abroad where they can compensate what could not be reduced. And you're right, the sheer number of people that want to consume and be here for the games, 15 million, we say, yes, it's large, it is emissions. The right thing is to compensate. So reduce first, be forensic about it, and then compensate what cannot be reduced.
We know all about the top sponsors for the Olympics, but how do you get the small and medium-sized enterprises involved, bring more opportunities for SMEs and what it means for SMEs for the host city and for the surrounding areas?
It's here as well an example to follow. That is Paris. From the very beginning, I remember being in a forum for small and medium-sized enterprises. It was around, by the way, creating jobs, but also using the economic power around Paris and the region. And this was very deliberate, and they wanted to make sure that all of them can contribute to the games and have a chance to contribute. And as a result, a major part of the expenses of these 4.39 billion are going into the local economy. It doesn't mean that you can do without some of the knowledge and expertise from some of the bigger actors. We have, as you know, in China, Alibaba with us providing cloud technology, and this is a solution that we don't need to reinvent, so that will always remain. But at the same time, for many of the temporary jobs and many of the services that are delivered and rendered here in Paris, local. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference in terms of the footprint, and it makes a difference in where goes the wealth. Working extremely well here.
And Christophe, can the Games, you think, provide this launch pad for innovation? So for example, can the Olympics now be a new platform to encourage cities to adopt more smart city initiatives, digital transformation, for example?
It goes both ways. The Games always have to reflect the trends at any given point in time in society. And if we go to tech, you might have seen a few months ago that we launched our artificial intelligence agenda, because we feel that in sport we have a responsibility to blaze the trail for any other. We probably have more sophistication, more means as well. And if we do invest in these new technologies and we promote this innovation, it will be adopted by others. So yes, the Games are always at the forefront in sport and adopting, again, latest trends, being in sustainability, tech, digital, absolutely. And what you see here in Paris is some early adoptions of AI, for example, in translation and of the tagging of information for you, the media. So yes, this is actually in action, and the Games are at the forefront. That's what makes them extremely challenging also to organize. It's a degree of sophistication when you're exposed to the rest of the world watching into your business and how you deliver it.
Christophe, of course, Beijing was the first city to host both the Summer and Winter Olympics. Are there any lessons that other potential host cities can draw on from the experiences here in China?
Very unique conditions to be able to host winter and summer. First, can I speak about the legacy of the Games of Beijing? We have since then, don't quote me on the exact number, but well over 300 million people that are now involved in winter sport. And it means exactly what these Games were designed to do, bringing new markets to international sport, but also giving opportunities for Chinese people to enjoy the Winter Games. Do we have many cities able to do that, or many nations that are able to do that? Probably not. China is very unique in this respect. It has, of course, the economic power also to sustain efforts like the Olympic Games on regular occasions, Asian Games as well, most recently. So this is a country that invests in hosting sports in a very smart and very ambitious fashion. Now, do we see in the future other regions doing that? I'm not entirely sure, at least not in the foreseeable future. So well done and congratulations to Beijing, because the city has been transformed twice. Once the inner circles in the context of 2008 with landmarks that are now part of the city, and I'm very happy as well that the outskirts of Beijing were transformed in the context of the 2022 and what we've seen in the industrial park transformation into a new area given back to the citizen of Beijing and the visitors is absolutely stunning. So we can say that Paris was ambitious, but God knows Beijing in twice 2008 and 22 was incredible as well.
Yeah. Christophe, many thanks for your time. Thank you so much for joining us on Biz Talk.
Thank you so very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Coming up next, my colleague Olivia He sits down with Bi Weiduo, who covers the sports industry for PwC. They'll extend our conversation on how the Olympics impact the local economy of the host city and country while taking a closer look at China and what the Beijing Summer and Winter Olympics have meant for China's sports industry.
.360-degree profiles of industry movers and shakers, tech mavericks, and policymakers. We drill down on their success. We ask how they set strategy and how they navigate in an increasingly competitive market. Real talk, real business. Join the conversation. Biz Talk, only on CGTN.
In your opinion, what are the key economic drivers behind the Olympics and how do they influence host countries?
The drivers behind are obviously not only development of the sport industry itself or economy, but also social, culture, or urban development, environment, etc. Normally, the key economic drivers include first one, obviously to raise the image of the host country and host city, to let the world know better what the host country and host city really are. The people, the culture, the food, everything. A holistic show in front of the world where no other event can compare. And secondly, significant upgrade of infrastructure and of the whole city, and as well the nearby region. We see construction of road, railways, traffic hub, a facility, not only sports venues. And thirdly, a boost to the local economic development, of course. A very typical example is the 2012 London Olympics. London took that Olympic game as a driver to develop East London region. And we should say the impact is not only creating new job opportunities, but far more than that, like sports plus tourism, sports plus entertainment, sports plus business, the sports plus technology, and similar concepts are widely accepted. So the introduction and holding of top-level sports event like Olympics definitely promote the synergetic development of diversified industries, inject energy into the economic as well as to the society.
Can you provide insights into the benefits for cities and countries that host the Olympics?
On one hand, there are tangible legacies, obviously, through the process of organizing the event. The host country and the host city would have modernized infrastructure, good sports venue and facilities, which would lay a good foundation for future development of the local sports industry and economy. On the other hand, there will be more intangible, which is the promoting the spirits of sports and the training of professional talent who not only serve the event, but also become part of the sport ecosystem. The sport industry is a complex ecosystem. The event operators, the stadium, the sponsors, the sports media, agencies, manufacturing, etc. And all those participants play important role on this regard. And if we take the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic as an example, if we read the report of the economic legacy published by the Beijing 2022 Olympic Committee, you can see it focused on three areas. The first one is the development of winter sports, i.e. the ice and snow, which including significant upgrade of the venue and the facilities for these winter sports, and development of the show business relating to the ice and snow, tourism of winter sports, manufacturing of relevant clothes and equipment, etc. It obviously ignites the whole value chain. And secondly, development of the technology, which including like the smart stadium, optimized operation empowered by the advanced technology, innovation in improving experience of the audience, making the event more environmental friendly, as well as better training and performance of the athletes, which are all supported by the technology. And the third one is development in marketing activities, such as new and flexible forms of sponsorship. We know that the sponsorship income of 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics was a record high. And also there are new products, new marketing events, which could become a new tradition. For example, like, shopping festivals, specifically for the winter sports. The overall scale of the industry relating to ice and snow is reported to be expected to reach a RMB 1,000 billion by 2025, which definitely will be an important part of the economic development.
So what role do you think digital transformation plays in the sports industry, particularly in relation to the Olympics?
Yeah, well, actually, we conduct a global survey on sport industry every year. And the recent survey shows that digital transformation plays a key role in the strategy of the sports organizations. And most focused pieces in the strategy, including access to data, not only the sports activity itself, but also the data of the fans, and creation of digital content and inventories, flexible partnership model, etc. Firstly, for the sports media space, we saw big tech companies become more active. The OTT platform have grown, significantly comparing with the traditional TV channel, TV network, and direct-to-consumer models have become more and more common. And if we put everything together, we call it, it's kind of a digital ecosystem, right? Which offers a new and emerging opportunities to create digital assets that can be owned and traded. Not only, the ticketing, memberships, collectibles, and digital games as well. When we look at the digital transformation by different regions, it appears that Europe is actually seems a little bit behind America and Asia, where like, so for example, in Asia, appears more curious and willing to experiment with new technology. Where in Europe, greater attention was put on, the underlying risks and also the challenges. So now it's interesting to see the Olympic game is back in Europe after 12 years, after the London 2012 Olympic Games. Could be a boost of the digital transformation, in Europe.
And finally, what do you think are the major trends driving growth in China's sports industry?
From the perspective of the industrial growth, if we look at the industrial added value, the statistics of China, the current scale of the sport industry has been one of the most important engines in our economic growth. Of course, here we're talking about a wide concept of sports industry, including the relevant services, good and related products, manufacturing, and also the sports venues or facility construction, etc. The scale of the added value has been, has reached nearly 1/8 of the financial industry, 1/4 of the cultural industry, and nearly 1/3 of the added value of the information and software technology services. The major trend we observed from our survey, including like the first one, the fitness for all, 大众健身, right? The government policy and outlines as a strategic plan is to promote sports consumption by all people across all gender and all ages, right? Including the in-depth implementation of national fitness strategy, improving the quality of the sports event, and also consumer experience, and the developing of new forms of business, such as online fitness, online events as well. And another major trend we can see is that the sport industry apparently integrate with economic and social and environmental benefits, and plays an important role in promoting the urban transformation and greener development. And the third trend we observe is the technology innovation, with the promotion of digital transformation in our China's sport industry. We also see some of the market segments are more favored by the investment. For example, the outdoor economy have become investment hotspot, right, in the recent and the financing market in the past couple of years. And some of the eye-catching tracks include like camping, outdoor equipment, etc. And of course, we cannot ignore the passion of ice and snow sports ignited by the Winter Olympics is now definitely attracting and retaining much more interest of the public. And in addition to that, we also see a trend on the women's sports and youth sports. Women's sports has definitely become an increasingly important long-term investment, and the effect on the we call it the double reduction 双减 policy. I think it's yet to show yet. But already the youth sports and the sport education and training have shown a rapid development trend already. So I think the sport industry is a booming industry, and the space of the future development is very broad. At the meantime, at the same time, from the perspective of investment, the sports market is not evenly hot, and quite naturally, you can see the project with relatively higher commercial realization and profitability are more likely to be accepted by the market. Some of the colder tracks currently lacking clear business and profit models, it's difficult to achieve a quick win. However, I think investment should also understand the potential of these tracks, see the importance of their long-term investment value. But of course, how to realize the deep integration of capital and the sport industry, and how to cultivate the soil for the long-term and healthy development of the industry is a big topic worthy of thinking by all the relevant stakeholders.